All right, I am starting off this video, which might just become an audio, and when I was about to sit down to do this, I thought, oh, let's be pretty and put on a pretty shirt. And you guys, I literally put the shirt on inside out by mistake. And thankfully I realized it. And honestly, had I not realized it before I started the video, I would have said, oh, look at here. It's on inside out. Because that's the beauty of doing, I know that this isn't live, but just doing recorded videos and just doing it in the raw. I think that's what I find that to be the most important, because you're just seeing the raw, the real. And that's one of the reasons why I love, there are a couple of podcasts out there right now on YouTube that they're new to me. However, they've been around, probably one has been around, I think, for 11-ish months now, and one I believe just started. And it's a podcast where they're in the raw. It's live, virtually I say virtually unedited. What I meant by that was hardly unedited. They don't edit swear words. If they drop an F-bomb or drop a whoop-de-doozy, so be it. If they burn the galette, which one of my things I watch is a cooking show, if they burn it, whoopsie daisy, they burn it. If they forget to put the almond extract in, whoopsie daisy. It's just real life. Like we go around in our everyday conversations and our everyday things, and it's real life. And I'm not about to edit any of that out. So here is the point of my video, though. This is the thing that I do want to say. I have been so fascinated with, so I left, as you maybe have watched other videos or heard other audios, I left my job in February. And I did it for very specific reasons. I also left a relationship in 2022, and I did it for very specific reasons. And right now, am I going to share that with the world? Like I said before, yep, life happens. We just move on. We show the rawness, right? But I think there's a distinction, though, of, yes, showing the rawness of me without throwing somebody else under the bus, even though I was thrown under the bus. So with that said, I'm going to get back to the whole, I did leave my job in February, and I didn't want to. I literally, I did not want to leave that job. I thought that I had expectations for that job, especially it being a church. I had expectations of truth and integrity, and that wasn't happening across the board, I will say. Oh, shouldn't use the word board. It wasn't happening across all parameters of whoever was in charge. Bits and pieces, yeah, integrity and truth for sure happening. Others, not even close. Not even this close. And if you can see me, if I do a video, I might have a 1/4 inch between my two little fingers here. Not even close. I did not want to leave that job. And the more, and I was a whistleblower. And then what happened after that is I experienced retaliation. And not in a million years would I ever think that would happen. And what I do want to say, I want to make sure that whoever's listening or watching, what I say here is truth. I have documentation to back it up. I have reports filed, like things. So it's and to the appropriate people who were in charge. Now, if somebody says, does a shoe turn? I don't know. If the tables were turned and they tried to say the same thing about me, they would not have documentation about anything that I did that was not within integrity. With that said, I was the whistleblower. I did experience retaliation and did all the appropriate reporting to the appropriate channels, and I kept getting retaliated against. So when the members of the congregation kept saying to me, "Gosh, Ann, why are you leaving? Oh, you must have found a great job. Oh, you're retiring." Nope, nope, nope. I kept saying nope. And then I would cry because I knew why I was leaving, but I also knew I needed to withhold the information as to why, because that's not what somebody in integrity does. I'm not going to throw anybody else under the bus. And so I did seek legal counsel. Legal counsel did say file for unemployment. I did file for unemployment, and turns out, who'd have thunk, churches aren't required to pay into unemployment. So, yeah, you're on your own, Ann, which is fine. One other time in my life have I done unemployment, and that was during the pandemic. I'd never done it before. During the pandemic, because of being furloughed and such, it was a very different experience of how that process looked versus today's look. Today meaning 6 months ago. So I couldn't file unemployment. And so I thought, you know what? Let's hit the ground running. Let's get the show on the road. Let's get a new job. And you're a college educated woman. You have a bachelor degree in communication studies. You have 40 plus years of customer service, administrative, supporting hospitality, hospital administration, medical device organizations. Not one time did I think that retaliation was still happening. Because every time I would make it to a certain step in the interview process where the potential new employer was doing an employment verification check, or perhaps a reference check, that phone call from the potential employer, that phone call was never once making it to the appropriate person. Now, in all fairness, how would potential employer know that they're supposed to ask for the pastor? They wouldn't know that. So they're just going to listen to whoever wants to answer the phone and give detail. Well, the detail that was given, and again, documented proof that I have, it wasn't good about me. I even was asked, you guys, you're not going to believe this, I was asked, are you medically capable of doing this job? Because we're worried if you're medically capable. From a future potential employer, that's what they asked me. And I'm thinking, why the fuck would somebody ask that? Like, what would prompt you to think that I was or was not medically capable? Unless somebody gave information that they shouldn't have given. So I've reeled it back in. I think this is the right direction. Anyway, I've reeled it back in. And I hid my last job on my resume. I didn't say anything about it. And then I got to thinking, you know what, Ann, you're hiding. That you hiding and not showcasing your expertise for the sake of fear about what somebody else might think, that doesn't look good on you. And these are the words I'm saying to myself. It didn't look good on me. I didn't like that. So with that said, I am still in the job market. I will always and forever be a person who champions another company. If I'm supporting that company, I will always do that. And I will always expect truth, honesty, and integrity. So just wanted to pop in